Hello, I am Casmoke. As you may have noticed, my channel is now empty. This will be the first video on it for my new identity. I want to talk about the presence of 30 FPS in 2023. Yes, the catalyst is Redfall, but no, that is not the sole game that has me concerned in this way. Oftentimes these games are marketing the 30 FPS version, which I don't think they should be, particularly FPS games. Funny, FPS. But first-person shooters, they have a dependency on response time. And when your response time is poor, your gameplay might be quite poor. I guess it explains the IGN footage for Redfall, because that was quite bad. On top of the fact that you're having to use a slower input in a controller for Redfall on the Series X, you're also having 30 FPS at launch. Yeah, they'll get a 60 FPS update later, but by that point, people will probably be moved on from the game. Let's look at it this way. They're saying that the game is supposed to be like Far Cry. Cool, I guess. But it's not enough. And, I mean, this video is overly ranty. Not ranty, but rambly. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. 30 FPS has been a thing in gaming since the Nintendo 64. On the NES and SNES, a lot of games actually ran at 60 FPS. Although the PAL region versions of those games ran at 50. But the Nintendo 64 was pushing video game graphics a bit too much for its hardware, so they had to lower the frame rate. This sort of continued into future systems for a while, but 60 FPS started making a comeback with Xbox One and PS4. Though there were plenty of 30 FPS games on those systems, like Bloodborne on PS4. But what you really need to take a look at is the response times on 30 FPS is about 33 milliseconds without the input delay of the controller, obviously. On 60 FPS, it's about 17 milliseconds. That's latency between the device receiving your input and the screen displaying your input. Now, with 30 FPS, you're limiting yourself to that 33 milliseconds, which in a shooter, that can mean the difference between you living and you dying. Now, I get that open world games are not that pretty all the time. Though Red Dead 2 is pretty. I think that people are a bit too worried about other aspects of games right now, but right now we're not even putting in reviews whether or not games have these frame rate modes, which you think a review should factor in all points of a game, particularly things like performance. I mean, how many people do you think want to play a choppy game? I don't think very many. And that's an interesting thing for me. Yeah, so I think this will be a fun topic to discuss further in the future. But when I discuss it a bit more, I think I'm going to have a guest